It's your girl, Tamara Travels from the Travel Love Agency, and welcome back to my channel. I'm a couples travel expert who loves sharing tips, tricks, and trends in couples travel. Welcome to today's live travel chat Q&A session. And y'all, I am super excited. We have my travel BFF in the building. Connie at Endless Travel. Okay, y'all. She is an adventure travel expert. She's joining me to answer all the hot weeks travel Q&A. We're going to touch on it, Connie. Connie, welcome to my show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on to talk to everyone.
Yes, I am so excited to have you here. You know so much more about the space of adventure travel and even adventure travel as a couple than I do. So I'm excited to have your expertise. And Connie, today we have a series of questions that are pressing in the world of travel. The world of travel this week and last week has been a little bit different. So we've got a lot of little buzzy stuff going on. So we're just going to tackle it one question at a time. So everyone, if you're tuning in, please remember, if we're not touching on a topic you want to talk about, drop your comment in the comment section or drop your question in the comment section and we will get with that question. We're going to try to answer them all. Okay. So, Connie, where to next this year? Where are you traveling to this year, 2023?
2023. We're going to go to a couple of places, of course, we haven't been to. Our first destination is going to be Philadelphia.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a little bit of an adventure. It's going to be educational. And so it's a place we haven't been, and it's been on our bucket list for quite some time. We actually have a physical bucket list of items to go. So that's going to enable us to put a check mark by someplace today. So that's the first place. We actually have a trip a month planned, even if it's just a long weekend.
A trip per month.
Per month.
Per month. Now, is this your revenge travel or is this just normally the way you like to travel? Are you getting back because you couldn't go at a certain period of time or what's going on every
I,
month trip
I,
plan?
I think it's a combination of both. With COVID and some of the restrictions and things and regulations, we didn't travel as much as we normally would have. So we're making up for some lost time, and we're doing our norm of trying to get in at least 1 to 2 big trips a year, and then some long weekends every month. So
I love that. I love that. Well, I can't wait to hear more, and I definitely want to know what's going to happen in Philadelphia. What you doing there? What you going to see?
we are mainly leaning towards the historical aspect of Philadelphia. Liberty Bell's number one on the list. We are also going to go to Independence Hall, which is where they originally signed the Constitution.
Wow.
And then they have a market there that's very similar to Pike's Market in Seattle, if you've ever been there, where they throw the fish. So they have a
Okay.
market very similar to that.
Mhm.
And then for us, we always like to get that panoramic view of the city if you can. And they
Okay.
actually have an observation deck that will allow you to do that. And you can't go to Philadelphia without going and standing next to the Rocky statue. Okay.
I love it. Absolutely. So
So,
we're gonna have. Are you gonna vlog this? Vlog this? How are we going to let everyone know about this trip to Philly?
we are going to put together a video, put together some comments about it, and get it out there for everybody to see.
I love it. So before we end today, we're going to talk about how everyone can find this collection of videos and how they can find you.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to get into question number one today. And again, everyone that's watching, put your comments in the comments section. We're going to travel related comments, y'all. Let's not go too far, just travel related. And we're going to keep it about the globe. And if you have any questions on travel or how to travel, what to do this year, this season, please let us know. We'll get to those. So, question number one is a good one. She says, I'm stressed, tired, and need to get away. What types of travel would help me? I need a cheap option. Connie, what do you think?
I think one of the things that people sometimes overlook, I think we've termed it to be that staycation.
Mhm.
but lots of times we do not explore what's in our own cities.
Absolutely.
We have cities that people come to, they flock to because they're the destination travel, and we flock out of it. So
Right.
one option is to actually be a tourist of your own hometown.
Mhm.
Put
Yeah.
your tourist hat on. Well, if someone comes and says, "Hey, Tamara, what would I see in your city if I was visiting there?" That
Hmm.
answer that you give them, give it to yourself.
Hmm.
Go and look. So I think that's one option of being budget friendly,
Hmm.
um, and still stick to the same things you would do if you were going out of town on vacation. If you're giving disconnecting from social media, you're disconnecting from a lot of telephone activities, still
Right.
do that. Just
Absolutely.
because you're at home doesn't mean you don't do all the things you do when you're out of town.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, and to answer our question, go a little deeper. I think one thing we also have to remember, just like Connie said, is that our home city is a great place to start. Find a really great hotel. There's this whole new trend in sleep tourism. Find a great hotel, watch a great TV show the whole weekend, order some food in, and just really allow yourself that opportunity to disconnect. I know for me, years ago, I was feeling much like the question of the day. And I drove. I drove. It took me about an hour and 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get there. I landed in a cool destination. I got out, I got a hotel, and I vegged out for one day, 24 hours. It was all that I needed. It was quiet, it was peaceful. I got to eat and sleep and move in the way that was comforting to me. So definitely challenge yourself. That was a great question, by the way. And I think more people have to look into their own city and
Yeah,
state and find a way to explore. And at the end of the day, it can be really
really
fun,
fun.
something totally different, and definitely budget friendly. When you're not leaving your downtown area or your the next city over, you're not wasting money in gas or spending a lot of money in
Right.
gas, or you don't have to worry about a flight, and you can find a budget friendly hotel. If it's just for you, take your pillow, take your favorite blanket, take
Right.
your favorite popcorn, and just hang out there.
Mhm.
So I hope that was a great answer to a very great question that a lot of people are challenged
Mhm.
with nowadays. So moving on, the next question says, "How do I make group travel work?" Group travel. I'm going to start with this, and then I'll let Connie let you hang out on this.
Mhm.
I think one thing to remember with group travel, the best way to make it work is to have a group facilitator. Um, us being travel advisors, we normally act as the facilitator of the group. When you have a group of people that are maybe just friends or maybe just business associates at work, or they hang out at the ball field together, when you're talking about money and making decisions on where to stay, what to do, and all of the dynamics that would be in a group trip, you really need someone that plays the middleman.
Mhm.
And also with that, using a travel advisor for group travel is so important when you're
Mhm.
discussing money. Um, when there is a group leader within a trip, and maybe that person is responsible for payment of money or even the collection of funds, that can get a little icky, wouldn't you say, Connie?
Right.
And even in a family situation, if you have an advisor that plays that middle personnel that can kind of plan it from A to Z, think about all the different dynamics that's within that group and the age groups, the activity level, and those sorts of things. I think that is the best way to make it work. Of course, we are professionals and we're always going to plug ourselves first, just to be honest.
Right.
But I think you have to have someone that doesn't have direct skin in the game. But Connie, what else would you say about that? How do you make a group travel work?
I think the advice that you've given is spot on. The other thing, I think sometimes when people hear group travel, they think, oh my goodness, now I'm going to have to spend 24/7 with this group of people. That's
Mhm.
not necessarily the case. I mean, depending on how you plan that trip,
Absolutely.
Most group travel has downtime for you to do whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
And I think if everybody is like-minded and has the same understanding about the trip, everybody's going to understand, tomorrow, I think, when you go on that little outing tomorrow, I'm just going to chill here at the room. And that's going to be okay. So,
Absolutely.
so just remember there's a lot of advantages of group travel, the cost saving. A lot of people think of safety in numbers, but you
Mhm.
also get that, recharge time with your friends. Maybe it's a group travel of people that are acquaintances, and now you wind up with some great new friends and new travel buddies out of taking this trip. So it does have a lot of benefits to it. The key, I think, as Tamara pointed out, is having that independent person help organize, and especially around money aspects, because that can tend to be a stumbling block and something that could damage a relationship depending on how it's handled.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was a tremendous question, and it's a perfect time to kind of talk about group travel because we have seen things in the news with group travel. I say that overall, it is best to do it with someone that's qualified to have a level of understanding of what the group needs are.
Mhm.
Safety in numbers is always a beautiful thing. I support group trips tremendously over solo travel. And there's even ways to do a little bit of both. And we may get into that a little bit later. But that is a great answer, Connie. And great question. Thank you for the question. If you have a question and you're hanging out watching, go ahead and put that question in the comment section. We want to hear from you and help you answer questions that pertain to your travel style. So, next question is I love this. And Connie, this is great for you. I don't like to hike or bike, but I want to be active on my vacation. What can I do?
There are a lot.
Ginger, but not quite those two specific things. But I'm sorry.
No, I think when people hear adventure travel, the first thing that comes to mind is, yes, I need to climb to the top of a mountain, or I need to hike the Himalayas. Yes, you can do that, but I think there's another angle to adventure travel, which says, I'm simply going on an adventure. That adventure may be a learning adventure. It may be something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe you want to go, you love covered bridges.
Hmm.
Well, then I'm going to say go to Oregon. They have
Hmm.
millions of covered bridges. It has a lot of history to it. That's an adventure because that's something you haven't done.
Right.
And there are other options outside of, skydiving out of a plane and things like that. Maybe you want to see something in the mountains, but you don't want to hike to the top. There's
Hmm.
always helicopter rides that will fly you
Absolutely.
over those destinations. So there's a lot of things that you can do for an adventure, and it doesn't necessarily have to be physically straining on you to
Mhm.
have some fun, enjoyment, and see some things that you've never seen before.
And I think I absolutely agree with you. And I think there's a way to take a basic trip and to add components of adventure in it. You
Absolutely.
can go out west or to, we'll say, Las Vegas, and then add a helicopter ride. You can go out into the Mojave Desert and do a photography session
Right.
because it still involves some sense of adventure, but it may not be to the scale that we think what adventure travel is. And
Exactly.
just to piggyback, Connie, what are some other forms of adventure travel that may be helpful for those watching?
Well, for those that they want to see something, they want to see something nature out in nature, but they don't know how to get there. Group trips are a good way of doing that. Guided
Mhm.
tours are a good way of doing that.
Mhm.
Maybe you are a traditional cruiser, someone that likes cruises, but now you're thinking, I'd like to have a nature aspect of that. There
Mhm.
are cruise lines that specifically travel the United States, and they stop at all along the way to very what we would consider adventure type destinations.
Love
So maybe instead of your day at the beach, you're going to get to take a guided tour with a local tour of
it. Mhm.
maybe waterfalls of the area,
Mhm.
maybe to Mount Rushmore.
Mm.
So you're seeing these things. You're being guided by a tour guide. Your transportation, they're transporting you, so you get that element of cruising and you get that element of adventure.
I
So
love
there are
it.
a lot of options. Maybe it's something as simple as you've gone to a town and you decide to rent a bike and
Mm,
ride through town, or maybe they have greenways
right.
and you take a bike ride on a greenway. I think an adventure can be something that is not physically challenging
Mhm,
to
mhm.
do.
So I know you and I discussed before
Mhm.
adding the component of sailing or deep sea fishing, which
Yes,
is like, from what I understand, and I don't know because I've never gone deep sea fishing, but you can go on the charter and kind of participate. You don't have
yes,
to be physically getting in there where you're sweating or you're drained
mhm,
or what have you. You're just part of that adventure. Maybe it's more of an adventure for someone else, but you
exactly.
like the element of sailing. Or I thought about like camping now that we have glamping,
Mhm.
where yes, I like the idea of camping, but not quite living in the wilderness. So I may want an igloo, a hut. I've seen those little buildings. I don't know. It's for the little Ewok people. I don't know. Like a
And they
building
have tree
on the
houses.
side of a mountain where you can stay the night there.
Mhm.
That is all adventure travel. Would you say so?
Exactly. I would
Yes.
agree. And along your line of glamping, they have several areas that have tree houses. They are
Which is,
actually in the trees,
I love that.
but they
Yeah.
have air conditioner and heating in them. So, they're not, you can get some very, low amenity tree houses, but then you can also get some that are more comfortable for people that they want to try it, but out in the woods isn't necessarily their thing,
Right.
but they can still have that mixed experience and still enjoy themselves.
And another thing while you were saying that I thought about was safari. A safari, you're literally riding the entire time, but that is totally a part of adventure travel. So if
Exactly.
you're not really an adventure traveler or you think of adventure travel in one way, contact Connie. She will tell you so much more options or how to implement small segments of adventure in your travel.
Exactly.
There's some research out there, and I read an article a couple days ago, and it talked about the fact that travelers of 2023 that are kind of in that revenge state, wanting to get out there,
Mhm.
now have upped their ante with every vacation they take. It's
Exactly.
no longer just a cruise, it's a cruise and something else. It's no longer just a sightseeing visit, it's sightseeing
Mhm.
and getting out in the elements. It's no longer just visiting a city. It's visiting the city plus a countryside that may be available. It's
Mhm.
no longer, and this amazed me, it's no longer just going to the beach. It's going to the beach and going on a scuba track or an
Right.
animal kind of quest where you're learning about animals and those kind of
Mhm.
things. And all of those are aspects of adventure travel. So
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
many options. I love that. I love that. Okay, next question. I think I'm going to, let's see. What are some trends, travel trends that affect me?
Mm.
Well, I'm gonna start off with this. If we're talking about for 2023 specifically, travel trends that affect everyone that is traveling in 2023, you can
Mhm.
expect certain things, and we're just gonna give it to you for real. We don't want you
Right.
to be disappointed by what you find out, and we're not that team of advisors that's not going to tell you what to expect. I'm going to say first and foremost, the budget has to be a little bit bigger. I'm
Yes.
not saying that you cannot still have the adventure or the trip that you want. What I'm saying is there are so many travelers now flocking to destinations that causes a rise in the cost of doing business.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the flip side of that can be the case as well. In the hotel and resort kind of travel scape, if people are not visiting, the prices stay low. If they're coming, the prices go up.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to travel 2023. So increase your budget if only by 5%. Have a different expectation for what this amount of money can now purchase
Exactly.
as far as your travel. Get a travel agent that can help you with the budget.
Yes.
Okay. One of the other things is my friends in the airline industry are telling me they still have some challenges. We've heard about
Mhm.
Southwest debacle over the holiday. We've heard about the FAA's problems. And really, these systems that they all operate on are a little antiquated. I'm not going to say all of them, but most of the systems that are
Mhm.
operational are a little antiquated. As technology has advanced, their technology hasn't advanced because they thought they had time. FAA is the government ran organization. Y'all know how long it takes to get a
Right.
driver's license.
Right.
Okay. Expect delays at the airport. Expect delays. There's still a staffing problem. They're still understaffed. The budgets have been cut tremendously. We still have a pilot deficiency. So
Mhm.
just know if you're flying, you will be affected by that. We're going to talk a little bit more later about flight cancellations and those things. Have a level of expectation. That is unfortunately a trend. It's not the best one,
Right.
but it's a real one. Connie, anything you can think of?
Well, one of the things that I want people to be aware of, sometimes the cancellations on flights is not based on where I'm going. It's based on where that flight is coming from. So as you're planning your flights and the time of year, and you kind of know the weather trends that, well, unfortunately, our weather trends right now seem to be, up and down and out of the norm.
Mhm.
But, in general, if you know that flight is coming in from a place or goes through a destination that weather impacts that flight on a regular basis, even if all the systems are up and functional, you just
Mhm.
kind of have to be prepared for that. You have to
Right.
think about that. Just know that, and under those circumstances, that's something that we can't control, but is a possibility that it could happen.
Absolutely. And just having a level of patience. I know the question was specifically about trends, but we have to make certain that we have a level of patience and maybe not understanding, but just patience and knowing
Mhm.
you are going to get to your destination.
Mhm.
It may take a different route. It may be a later time. And
Right.
what I would always say is allow yourself a cushion day, either the beginning of your
Exactly.
trip or at the end, just for those stressful, unbeknownst moments. You don't know what's going on. At least you have that wiggle room. Or save up just as many days as you can to be able to tell your employer, your school that, hey,
Right.
this is what's going on. I think most people have an understanding that that's what climate we're living in now. But
Mhm.
yeah, just some wiggle room, patience. Another trend I have to pull out is last year there was this extreme surge in travel to Europe. Europe had all kind of layover
Mhm.
issues. This year is going to be the same. I'm not predicting, but what I'm saying is this has already been written. Um, the surge in travel going to Europe and to Asia, this starting actually this spring, so in the next couple of weeks,
Mhm.
all the way through the end of fall, we're going to see travel mishaps, especially on the airport airline level.
Mhm.
Be prepared for that. Um, Another thing I would say, this is a plus. Hotels and resorts are ready, even though the airlines may not be. The beautiful thing about hotels and resorts is that the time period with the pandemic affected them. They took that time to renovate,
Yeah.
restaff, retrain, redevelop, to paint, to plant, to make necessary upgrades. When it was a lot of stress on the average traveler and also the airline industry, these properties had a chance to come forward
Mhm.
full fledged. They are fully staffed. They are well developed. There may be some new systems in play, maybe not the same buffet, but we know the reason why. But they're ready for travelers. So I think of it like this: if I have a hiccup in the airport, at least or my hotel is ready for me. Okay, y'all. Um, Another thing I want to mention is that luxury cruising is at an all-time high.
Exactly.
Luxury cruising is at an all-time high. It goes back to the fact that people now want an experience,
Yes.
not just a trip. They want layers to their vacation. They're saying now this vacation means so much more to me because for 2 years I've been sitting at home.
Yes.
So now when I take my 7 days, it may not be seven, it may be 10. And during those 5 days I'm cruising, I want 5 days to do something different. So what we're seeing is this huge demand in luxury cruising. The other reason for that, and this is a plus, is that luxury cruise liners are smaller in footprint. Um, they're highly efficient. They're smaller in staff. They're also smaller in the number of passengers that they travel with. So they're able to kind of maneuver in a different way that a large mega ship would be able to. So if you're interested in really having taking your time and doing this slow travel trend, which is a travel trend, moving a little slower and not having a 5 day trip and trying to compress everything into it, I would say
Right.
definitely look into luxury cruising, and either one of us can help you with that.
Right.
Anything else you can think of as far as travel trends that everyone that's traveling this year needs to know about?
One of the trends that's happening is a digital detox. I think we
Love
are
it.
we are taking more time with the digital detox. When we are traveling, we are traveling. We all have to stay connected to a certain extent, but more people are going for the wellness factor. Um,
Love that.
and the luxury cruise lines are good for that,
Mhm,
to allow that digital detox, have that wellness, different wellness activities and high-end massages and things like that on your cruise.
mhm,
But the digital detox is something that's coming into play. Another trend that's coming in, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's a trend,
mhm,
with the ability for workers to be remote and work several places, from a
mhm,
different location. Some workers are choosing to go on vacation and make time to work,
mhm.
as opposed to going to work somewhere and making time to vacation. We've all been in that case where you're out of town on a work trip, so you tag on a couple extra days at the end or the beginning so you can get in to see the city. It's kind of reversing now. It's I'm going on vacation for 14 days and I'm
Mhm.
gonna make time to work 5 of those.
Right.
So that's a trend that we're seeing happening as well.
And I absolutely love that. I am officially unemployable, but I do love that people are putting what matters the most
Mhm.
ahead of everything else. This is the first time I think in our lives we've been able to think this way and move this
Mhm.
way and even have this sort of lifestyle. And with people, so many people being able to work in a very remotely with a computer, laptop, or what
Mhm.
have you, it is the best time for it. I say if your employer allows it, definitely do it before they don't allow it
Right.
anymore.
And it's so easy to do when you've got the Airbnb types of locations that you can rent. And a lot of hotels are starting to cater to that. They're realizing
Mhm.
that people are coming in for vacations, but they still also have to work. So they're making it very easy for them to be able to accommodate both needs for that one traveler.
And I love that our accommodations are able to pivot so much. I wish our airlines was able to keep up
Yes.
because really those industries that provide I'm sorry, accommodations are really allowed to think about who's coming, who their direct
Mhm.
customer is,
Mhm.
and make a choice and quick decisions to impact their whole experience with them. And I think that's why so many of us have our preferred um,
Exactly.
representations that we want to use, our preferred hotels, our preferred resorts, because they've shown up for us.
Right.
So if you don't have a preferred resort or hotel yet, you need to talk to either one of us and we'll tell you
Mhm.
why some are a little bit better than others
Mhm.
and how you can use them
Mhm.
for to have the greatest trip ever. Yes. Okay. That was wonderful. I love that. I did hear a really it was a story. I think it's the Magellan cruise. It's the new cruise that is kind of not been talked about a lot, but it's the ship that people live on. And a young gentleman that was working at Meta at the time this article was written, he actually lived on the ship for 365 days. His price point for doing so is $300,000. He had a two-bedroom condo on the ship, and he basically stated in the article that he got to cruise around the world while working on his computer. So when he closed his computer, he had all the onboard activities. When they docked at a port, he was able to get off and have that experience. I'll link that article in the description box if y'all want to see more about it. But I thought it was incredible. If you got $300,000 laying around and you want a year of vacations, that's probably the
That's
best
it.
way to do it. I love that. I love that. Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay, what groups make group travel? What groups make group travel? Connie, you want to start with this?
Do you mean what organizations or
I
what?
really don't know. I'm thinking, I'm not for certain. It just said what groups make group travel. What I'm kind of thinking is what does group travel look like? Maybe. Well, I'll say this: it doesn't always have to be a group of friends, and
That's
then I'll
right.
let Connie pick up the rest.
That's right. I mean, if you're working with a travel advisor, they may have an itinerary put together that has local, advisors there that can take you on trips and things like that, and take you on tours. And we may be pulling together 10 people.
Right.
They do not have to be 10 people that know each other.
Hmm.
So group travel takes many forms. It could be people that know each other. It could be people. It could be families. It could be several generations of a family taking a group trip. It could be, you decide to get together with your old college friends.
Hmm.
So group travel takes a lot of different forms. You know the people. You don't know the people. It's mainly a set of activities, agreed upon activities, downtime. There's a very specific itinerary in terms of, especially if it's a group travel where you're going to go to multiple places. So you have a very specific, itinerary that says, on this day we're going to go here. The next day we're going to go here. It may list out your activities that you're going to do there, as well as telling you when you're going to have some downtime. And again, just remember, just because you're on a group travel trip, it doesn't mean that it's 24/7 doing activities with the people of the group. I
Hmm.
mean, normally the point of the group trip is to do activities with people, or make friends if it's people you don't know, but you do not have to do every single activity with the people on the trip.
Right, right. What I totally absolutely agree. And one thing that came to my mind is like theme trips.
Yes.
There are ways to say this group of people love Star Wars. They don't know one another, but they like the idea of taking a Star Wars trip, a Star Wars cruise. Okay,
Mhm.
they like the idea of going to a certain event at in Orlando that's Star Wars themed, or we all ride motorcycles. We don't really know one another, but something specific in the world of motorcycles has caught our attention here. And because we all are like minded, even though we may not be friends,
Mhm.
we all go to this event together. It reminds me of like a concert. With a concert, we all don't
Mhm.
know each other. We just like who's on stage.
Right.
So we all kind of gather at that one point, at one place, and pivot within that concert while we're all together. So group trips can look like that. It could be a cheer team. It could be a
Mhm.
baseball conference. It could be, I saw this and I thought it was incredible. Afrotech is a company. They take group trips together. They're all African Americans that love the world of technology. They
Mhm.
don't necessarily know each other, but wherever they're in destination, that vacation,
Mhm.
that meeting place is for them, they get there and they kind of make it their own. Another thing is, and I absolutely love this. For the first time I've ever thought about doing something like this. Next year, we're doing a Super Bowl trip. It's a group trip, but everyone may not know each other. We just love the idea of going to the Super Bowl. So
Right.
we'll be there together. Another way of doing a group trip, and I think is very unique. Before I had a family, I thought about taking a solo group trip. And what that meant for me is
Mhm.
a solo individual, a solo woman that wanted to go with other solo women on a group trip. I did not know either one of them. They all were going to a destination. I thought that was a great opportunity for
Mhm.
me to go, safety in numbers,
Right.
like mindedness. So that's a way to have a group trip as well. Um, Connie spoke about multi generational trips, which are still considered a group trip. Grandma's there, aunt is
Mhm.
there, kids are there, uncles, friends of family members that are there.
Right.
Um, Associates of other family members. It's a group of either like-minded
Mhm.
people that want to see a destination or experience that destination, or a group of people that want to experience that
Yeah.
destination, whether you know each other or not. So there's so many ways to do it. I personally have several group trips for couples. I am a couple and I love the idea of traveling with other couples,
Mhm.
so we do couples group trips because we all like the idea of traveling with couples. We may not all be sold on the same destination yet, but we're going to
Right.
go experience it because it's our group of couples and we don't all know each other. So
Right.
that's a great way to do it. Absolutely. Okay. That answers that question. Moving on. Oh, I love this. I'm going to let Connie answer this. Is 2023 a good year to travel?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, with some of the restrictions being lifted, I think people feel more comfortable with traveling. It's opened up the doors to do international travel, maybe easier. But I think it is always a good year to travel.
Yes,
It is
yes.
always a good year to travel, and I
Coming
think
from someone who travels every month.
every month. So
I love
it is always definitely a good year to travel. But I think this may be an in some ways more important year of travel than in the past, just because we have been so confined, um, and we've been set in one place for so long, and we now need to go out and get a new perspective.
it.
And in lots of ways, it's a health and wellness issue too.
Mhm.
I'm going out, I'm mingling with people, I'm seeing things, I'm going out and I'm see, I'm in nature. Nature is one of the things that can calm your mind so quickly and so
Absolutely.
easily.
Absolutely.
So I think in a way that the travel of 2023 is a health and wellness tip
Yes,
for everyone.
absolutely. Absolutely. When you're stuck in the house,
Yes,
going outside, and I know this is a whole term. I'm outside. I want to be outside but on a boat, on an
right,
ocean, in the
right.
mountains, seeing something, doing something. And all realistically, you guys, there is no other priority that I'm hearing about other than daily maintenance. You have to live
Right.
your life, you have to go to work, you have to pay your bills, but travel is a top priority. That's why 2023 is the best time
Mhm.
to travel. Yes, we can agree with that.
We
Yes.
can agree with that.
Okay, next question. And again, if anybody's tuning in, just tuning in, please drop your question, travel related question in the comment section, and we will get right to it. Okay. So, how question says, how do I save money booking a cruise? And it's so cute. She put the dollar sign save booking a cruise. How do I save money booking a cruise? I'm going to say first, and I'm going to let Connie piggyback off of this with her ideas. You need a travel advisor.
Yes.
Um, we all know that we can go to an online travel agency and book our own cruise. We all know we can go directly to the cruise brand and book our cruise. The difference is that experience versus using a travel agent is when you do so, you're going to have five elements, we'll say, to your cruise if you book it yourself online. Okay. That those elements are going to lead to a total. That total we'll say is $1,500. Five elements, 6 days, $1,500.
Mhm.
When you book the same with a travel advisor, a trained travel advisor like myself and Connie, you're going to have 7 to 10 elements to the same bottom line of $1,500. That is the difference, you guys. So I think it saving money is about knowing who's connected. You're not connected with Disney.
Right.
We may be Disney certified. So Disney is going to allow us to grant you more incentives to be a part of that. Okay. You may not know that if you sell this date versus this date, you can save $500
Absolutely.
on the same cruise. Okay. So trusted travel advisor. Connie, what you have? What's another way to save money on cruise?
I totally agree with that. I think timing of doing that cruise also, that can be a make or break for some people's budget. And it could be that there are alternatives. Maybe you at this time you really like to do a luxury cruise, but that's just not in the budget. But there are other cruises that will give you elements of that,
Mhm,
so that you can still have a really great experience, a similar experience.
mhm,
But you're not going to be able to know these things.
mhm.
Another thing is the time and the effort that it would take you to do these comparisons, um, and knowing where to go to look for this information, understanding that information, understanding that booking online through agency XYZ online, that room is going to be one of the worst rooms on the cruise ship
Yes.
versus we're going to get you more of a premium room for that same price. But just understanding where to book those rooms. So I think there's a lot of legwork
Mhm,
that will be simply removed from you.
mhm.
And it will lower your frustration level at trying to do the comparisons and trying to find the information, understand the information, and then make a determination of what's best.
Absolutely. Y'all hear that? Coming from two experts, we're telling you. Another thing I just thought of when Connie was speaking is one way to save a chunk of money that is actually outside of the cruise. People always think of cruising, oh, I have this amount of budget, but how are you going to get there? So,
Exactly.
one way to save a good amount of money is to cut the flight. That makes your cruise budget go that much further. But these are the kind of tips and tricks and trends that we watch
Mhm.
in the cruise industry because we are professionals to this. This is what we do. We want to save you money, make the best experience possible, and
Exactly.
also make sure that we understand what's being done. How is this working? So, because we focus so much on that, we're able to say, you know
Mhm.
what? A big way to shave $500 per person on your trip is to drive to your port. Drive. That is a huge, flights are a huge deal breaker with lots of families. Group
Yes.
travel, you add the flight cost plus the cost of the cruise itself, it's just way over budget. Take the cruise, drive. If you're a group, drive anyway. You're better off renting a van or taking a couple of cars, parking them somewhere at the cruise port, paying that nominal fee, and getting on the ship and enjoying your holiday. So
Right.
that's one thing as well. And lastly, I'm going to say, if Connie doesn't, if you have something else, let me know. But pre-book,
Pre-book.
you all. If you know next year on Valentine's Day you want to take a cruise, Valentine's Day date hasn't changed.
Right.
Let's get that done today. If you know next year during Labor Day you get 2 extra PTO days or you'll have X PTO days by that period of time, book forward. Because once we lock in that price, and this is with us, if you go online and try to do this, good luck.
Exactly.
Plus, if we helped you with this, we can lock in that rate, start the payment process that gives you a year or more to pay for it, which
Mhm.
is gravy in itself, as the young people would say. um, it also allows you lots of flexibility on whether this is going to work or not for you.
Right.
We can also lock in the rates to make certain if the cruise dips below that price that you pay, that advertised price, we can make up that difference for you.
Right.
So that's another way to save. The holidays we always know are going to be the same dates, around the same
Right.
date. Go ahead and take out a calendar. This is what I want to do with my life. When Connie made a decision to travel every month, she didn't make that by pulling things out of the air.
Right.
It required a plan.
Right.
A plan saying that December looks like this, January looks like this, February, March, April, this is what I need to do. This is how things flow. If I continue on the path I'm on, this is how I can fit this in my life and create a lifestyle of travel. So that those are my two tips. Connie, anything else you can think about?
You know, when you said about the planning, that's actually one of the trends too, is now people are getting into more long range planning. You know, I'm planning for, we're in 2023, my 2023 is planned. You know, some people are looking forward to 2024 now, you
Yes.
know. So, and if it means printing you out a calendar and physically writing it on the calendar to see what it looks like, then do that. But yeah, that long-term, long-range planning and locking in ahead. And also, if you do it on the calendar and you do it for, you know, several months at a time, a year at a time, it also helps you understand, is this feasible for me to be able to do this year?
Right.
You know, because that travel is going to have a cost associated with it. And you
Mhm.
know what your travel budget is, you know what your time is that you have available, you know, and that'll help you determine, can I really achieve all these things, or do I need to narrow it down to 3 of the 5 and the other 2 move to the next year? But I think planning is really key for pricing, being able to get the time frame that you want, and being able to get the accommodations, and getting the experience and vacation that you want.
Yes. I had a client approach me just yesterday and she wants to cruise with her family this year. And I told her, you know, I'm going to help you. We're going to look at some things, but if you really want the best opportunity of cruising when you want to, we need to look at 2024. Okay. Okay, next question. My flight was bumped and I missed my event. I'm upset. What can I do differently next time? Um, I'm going to start off with saying this. When flights are bumped or delayed or there's a cancellation, there's really not a lot on our side that we can actually do. What I am happy and excited to find out about after all of these debacles we've talked about earlier in the world of the airlines, the FAA, this kind of thing, airports, and that the Senate has recently started to do a little bit of investigation,
Yes.
especially with the airlines and the claims that they're giving us to why the flights are bumped or canceled. I love this, and it's basically this: it's a new proposal to punish the airlines for using weather as an
Yes.
excuse for terminating travel. What's happening, you guys, is basically this. The airlines know they're in limited quantity. They're
Yes.
selling tickets on top of tickets because there's really no regulations that tell them they can't. What they expect is based on their trends and their data that this you're going to have this amount of cancellations, but that's really
Mhm.
not happening. And this is along with their antiquated technology system.
Mhm.
So when the two worlds crash, and Connie knows exactly what I'm talking
Yes.
about. When the two worlds crash, we have overbooked flights, oversold flights, because two people have the same seats. This
Yes.
happened to me. I cannot tell you how many times. Um, and a lot of times I do think it's just bad management. So the state of I'm sorry, the Senate has recently introduced a proposal to force airlines to pay $1,350 per passenger in the event that there's a bump or cancellation and a lie.
Mm.
Okay. It's still being written, so we're going to wait and watch this all manifest, but it is called the Airline Passenger Bill. And if you know members of Senate, you may want to contact them,
Exactly.
especially if you've been bumped or canceled before.
Right.
It's getting a little ridiculous just out of greed.
Agreed.
So I don't have an answer for you. Only wait and see what may happen. I do want to say this. It's not really an answer, but I will say this. There's more likelihood that you're going to be bumped if you're a later flight.
Yes.
So one option is to choose an earlier flight. I'm sorry. Connie, what do you have?
And that's exactly what I do. I try to choose an earlier flight when we're flying, just so if something should happen to that flight, at least I have the possibility of some alternatives to continue to get out, because there's usually more than one flight going to your destination during the course of that day. So I do the earlier flight, and then just be prepared, as Tamara pointed out earlier in one of our other questions, is assess your flexibility of being able to, if I do get bumped or if the flight does get canceled, is this something that I now need to think about booking on another airline, or do I need to try to check and see if there's a rental car and I drive? Just have some options in mind, be flexible, and stay on top of it. I mean, really track your flight and how the flight's going. You can sign up with almost every one of the airlines or flight tracker, and it'll tell you, is my flight on time? Has it been canceled? Has it moved gates and no one told me? And I'm sitting at
It's
gate 39.
happened so many times. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So, a lot of these things are out of our control, but there are some things that we can do to make ourselves a little more prepared and a little more armed with information. And that will help cut down, hopefully, on some of the frustration. It's still going to be a very frustrating process, because we have some place we want to be, and we were supposed to be on that plane that should have been in the air or should have been at the tarmac by now or in the air by now. So just be prepared, know your options, and talk to your representatives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Okay. Sorry we couldn't give more, but that's really so much outside of our hands. Book
Mhm.
early. Book the earliest flight you possibly can. At least if you're booked, you bumped, you're, still in the lineup for that same day. It's terrible when you have to go to a next day, especially if you're living in an airport at that time.
Right.
Okay. This is a great, we've heard about this. This is a great question, and I'm glad you chose to ask us. Beyonce ticket debacle, what is this all about? Now, before I answer this, I want to say this. A lot of people do not understand that travel agents can also book concert tickets, event tickets, those kind of things. So we are glad we got this question because some of the best ways to book a ticket is with a travel agent, okay, or travel advisor. Beyonce ticket sales. It's been all over the place. I have two funny comments I want to say about it, but I just want to first say that the demand of the tickets have exceeded the supply.
Yes.
That's pretty much the biggest problem with it all. I hope it gets rectified. The government is also looking into this because Ticketmaster partnered with, I'm sorry, Live Nation purchased Ticketmaster. So they now are the conglomerates for how to buy tickets to most events, especially music events. So it's looking like a great big monopoly, and it's looking like they're fooling around with tickets and selling way more, putting pressure in certain areas to make
Mhm.
sure those tickets are sold is looking unfair. So the Senate Judiciary Committee has been watching Ticketmaster and how they handle this. This is
Mhm.
not the first time this has happened,
Mhm.
y'all. I think because it's Beyonce, people are going kind of even crazier about it. But this has happened to Taylor Swift. She even testified about this, you guys. And really, it's out of the hands of the consumer right now. This is really
Mhm.
something that the government and Ticketmaster and Live Nation hopefully will rectify. As far as the ticket cost,
Yeah.
y'all, I really don't know what to say. So many people have come to me and say, "Can I get a cheaper ticket through you?" The ticket pricing is already
Yeah.
set. That is between the artist, the management, the record label, the ticketing company. We have nothing to do with that. And y'all, between you and I, trust. She has very little to do with the cost either. It's a production price.
Right.
So let's not. let's be mindful that tickets are what they are because Super Bowl is very expensive too, but nobody's saying these two teams are price gouging. We have to be mindful and realize where the information is coming from and who it's targeting. If that's the price of the ticket and it's not affordable to you, we understand. I do have a tidbit on advice with that because bots, which are robots,
Mm-hmm.
and resellers have jumped in the game and they've started to try to buy these tickets up. That's producing another problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a Ticketmaster problem, a demand problem, and a bot problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Technology is beautiful when it's used the correct way. And this is a scenario where resellers and bots are just scavenging for tickets. Hold out, buy a last minute ticket, because what has to happen is, yes, this pricing for this ticket can be this high because there are none available, but if the concert's here
Yes.
and the date is here and the concert's tomorrow, guess what has to happen to the ticket for it to be sold? It has to drop in price. So if you'd like me to watch the concert tickets, please message me, send me a little message just to let me know. I'll take a little information from you. If you want a ticket in a particular city, I can help you get one. We can watch it. I can watch it in my system to see if it dips below a certain price. I want to see Beyonce too, Connie. I'm
Right.
not saying that much, but I don't blame Beyonce for the cost of the ticket. Okay, Connie, anything you want to say about?
No, I think you summed it up well. I mean, it's like any other type of production, concert, play, and like you said, Super Bowl. There's a cost that is associated with that entertainment, and it is what it is.
Yes,
And the demand for certain performers and activities outweigh the supply to share that across everybody that wants it.
yeah,
And there are certain things that we can't control, they can't control. If the facility holds, 10,000 people and 20,000 people want tickets, 10 are going to be disappointed. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely. We're sorry. We
yeah,
wish
we wish we could help.
it's not her fault. It is really the system at play. The system. I'm thankful that the government is watching over that as well. Okay, they watch over a lot of stuff, but they're doing some good stuff with these airlines. They're finally like, people are fed up,
People
and
are
we
fed
got to do something different. So whatever pressure we have to put on them to make certain that they protect our monies and our rights and our freedoms, we need to make sure we do that. Okay, enough with the political talk. Are passports changing? More political talk. I'm kidding. So yes, passports are changing. They've actually already changed. If you have a passport right now, you may notice if you have to renew sometime soon, it's going to be what's called the next generation passport. It's a passport with more technology behind it. It has the same power as the current US passport
Mhm.
or that passport that most of us have right now. I can't wait to see mine. It's not time, so I'm going to wait. And it looks a little different. Again, it carries the same weight. So, yes, it is changing. The changes were actually made for 2021 to roll out 2022. Everything's been delayed and kind of late.
Mhm.
This is another area where the government has had to step in and say, hey, these passports and what's going on. I'm going to tell anyone just a little tip. If you do not have your passport today, you
Take
need
it
to get
away.
it today.
Yeah.
Start that process. If you have children that need a passport, a baby, an infant that needs a passport, get the passport as soon as possible. It's taken entirely too long. We're at about 9 to 11 weeks. I have heard
Mhm.
of as long as 13 in larger um, areas, New York, California. I really don't know what's going on out there. But if you need to know how to get a passport within 24 hours, I'm going to link that video to this video. So that wouldn't be a move because otherwise you're going to be waiting. Even an expedited passport is 5 to 7 weeks on average. And that's a long time for an expedited passport. Connie, anything else about that?
Yeah, and just remember that time that they give you, that 5 to 7 weeks, 9 to 11 weeks, that's not when you mail it. It's when they get the paperwork in hand in the office and start the work on it. Also, if you do have a passport and you haven't looked recently, take a look and see when it expires. Because
Absolutely.
you don't want to get caught on a trip or ready to go and the passport expires or the passport is not good long enough after you return from your trip.
Hmm. And
Um,
that is a huge thing. Connie, I'm gonna let you say this one more time. So when I'm a passport holder, I'm about to go overseas. Something I should note about my passport is when it expires, right?
correct. And
Because
that it
even
will
though I
still,
have one, it may not work because why?
because it is not valid for at least 6 months after you return from your trip overseas. It could also not be valid for you if you do not have enough blank pages in your passport. So there's a lot of little
Hmm.
rules and regulations around that passport. It's not just that it expires December 2023.
Right.
So take a look at your passport. If we haven't been traveling, we may not have to pull those passports out, but travel's ramping up. Pull it out and take a look at the expiration date. That keeps you from getting in that bind of, oh my goodness, I'm gonna need a passport and I am running out of time to get it. So please pull out those passports, take a look at the expiration date. If you don't have one, go online, travel.state.gov, and start that process.
Absolutely. That is huge, you guys. Look at it. And I don't know, this is a whole fib. It is out in the internet world. Recently expired passports cannot be used to travel. They don't care if it was yesterday. It cannot be used. It actually cannot be used legally as a form of any ID in the United
Mhm.
States. So please do not leave the country with a recently expired passport. Even if one person made a mistake and let you go through gates, you may get caught and stuck somewhere. So
Right.
let's abide by these passport laws. We got the website down here. Take a look at it. And if you have any passport specific questions, let us know. Drop them in
One
the
more,
comment section.
one more thing about the passports. Remember, the real IDs got pushed from
Yes.
last year, this year, and their next year. If you're someone that's not planning on getting a real ID because you maybe you don't need entry into a government facility, you're still going to need that real ID to fly. If you don't have the real ID, you can use your passport. But if
Right.
it's expired and you don't have a real ID, you're not going to be able to fly.
Yeah. Up a creek. No paddle, I think grandma
Right.
said.
Right.
Okay, moving on. I love this question. I want to learn new things. Where and what type of travel should I do? What do you
Wow.
think, Connie? She
Well,
wants to learn new things.
what do you want to learn? You can take educational travel. I
Mhm,
mean, you can. I was told I was going to Philadelphia. There's a lot of educational there.
mhm,
Maybe you just maybe you like food. Maybe you're a foodie like Tamara is. So maybe what's that favorite food or that food that you've heard that you want to try? Maybe you want some seafood. Uh,
mhm,
so that you're going to head to the coast somewhere. I think the first thing is what is it you would like to do?
mhm,
What is it I want to learn about? And again, staycations are a great way to learn about your own area. I'm sure most places where people are at, in the town that you live in, maybe a 4-hour drive, 2-hour drive, what's within 8 hours of where you're at.
mhm,
So again, you don't necessarily, and maybe you don't even know what's in your town. We can
mhm.
still help you with that. We can still help
Absolutely.
you with the staycation. You
Mhm,
know, I've lived in San Francisco my whole life, but I don't know what there is to do there.
mhm,
I'm gonna tell you to go to the Coke Tower because from up
mhm.
at the top you can see all of San Francisco and it's an amazing view.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So, we could even help you with some ideas for your staycation too. But mainly, I think deciding what it is you want to see, um, and then what do you want to learn about, and or what is it you think you already know everything there is to know about something, but you want to dig deeper on it.
Mhm. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that. Absolutely. We're linking, it's called travel styles. We ask our clients these sorts of questions to get to the bottom of what the experience they want to have with travel. it's one thing to pick a destination and go, but
Mhm.
it's another thing if it's not a great fit for what you
Mhm.
want it to be. And it's hard to ask yourself these questions. You're like, oh, I like pizza. And I'm like, do you like Italian pizza or do you like New York pizza? That's a totally different experience.
Exactly.
So definitely, even if you just want to take the travel survey just to get the results, to learn more about yourself and know how to travel and how to pivot, we'll link it in the description box. And we would love to help you with that. We would love.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think we already kind of covered this. What do I need to know about getting a passport? Get it.
Get it.
We're moving on. Get it now. Um, can I attend the Super Bowl 2024? Super Bowl questions were kind of everywhere since we're on the eve, on the backside of the Super Bowl, not the eve, but the
Mhm.
upside. And I think a lot of people kind of realized that is a travel experience.
Yeah.
I am a specialist in not only making sure couples have the travel event they would like to have or the experience they would like to experience, but also to attend events. And Connie can help you with this as well. Connie's done
Mhm.
amazing events and snow, ice sculpture, hot air balloons, like all these amazing, wonderful
Mhm.
things. And sometimes an event itself becomes an entire vacation. You can wrap
Yes.
a vacation around an event. And Super Bowl is one of those for us. I will link some information on how to contact me or Connie regarding either one of these things, hot air balloons or Super Bowl, because that is a way to travel. It
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be always just about the destination, the
Mhm.
beach, the mountains. It could be specifically for an experience. And I
Exactly.
think 2023 is proving that that's what we want anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Um, what is the newest, hottest, best travel destinations for the summer? Connie, I'll let you name the top three.
You know,
Newest, hottest. It's none that are new because they've been
I was going to say, I think it's what is old has become new again,
right,
and it may depend on the person or the group that's traveling. You know, if it's family oriented, it's probably still Disney. You
right.
know, it may be the beach. If it's couples, it's maybe the beach, but it may be in Hawaii. Um, and depending on the time of year, maybe it's a nice ski trip in Colorado.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that is good for planning to do in summer is taking an Alaska cruise, because June's really the time you really want to go on that Alaska cruise. And they are amazing. They can be a combination of a cruise or cruise and land options. So maybe that would be my pick for the new 2023.
I love that. I
The
love that.
Alaska.
And there's still time to plan.
There's still time
June
to
is
plan.
coming. Still time to plan. We always have amazing cruise deals to Alaska. That's one of the things I absolutely love. I have not made my trip to Alaska yet. It is on my 2024 list. I have a couple other little small things I got to get done this year, but it is on the list. And I remember you telling me specifically about your time there and how the sound of the icebergs, like it
Yes,
just it sounded so amazing.
it
I'm
is
such a
wonderful.
I'm not ASMR, but I love sensory, auto sensory things. So I
Mhm.
always ask when people return from trips, like, what did it smell like? What did it sound like? What did it feel like? Feel
Right,
like, not
right,
like the sun was hot. Um,
right,
because I connect more to those experiences. And I remember you telling me like how Alaska felt to you.
right.
And just based on that, I knew it had to be on my bucket list.
Yes. Go to Alaska.
I want to do Alaska. So if I were answering this question, what are the newest, hottest, best travel destinations for the summer? Look, I got a second, Connie, with Alaska. I think Alaska is tremendous, especially because it's coming up. The season for that is really approaching. And like I stated, we have tremendous amounts of deals and packages on that we could book in literally a matter of minutes. So I would have to say Athens, Greece.
Mhm.
Another place that is high on the list is Nashville, Tennessee. If y'all have
Absolutely.
ever heard anything about it, it is hot for so many great reasons. I think it's that undiscovered little place that's created all this buzz. It is lively, it is flourishing, it is busy. You have art, you have culture, you have music, you have food for the foodies, and it's a great place. I happen to call it home. Paris is making its big comeback. It's on all the top of the list. Is one I think for families, for girl trips, for group trips, for romance vacation. I think
Mhm.
it fits the bill for everyone, so I have to name that. And then I'm hearing a lot of buzz about San Francisco.
Wonderful.
I know you've been there, so I have to name that. And then I think Turks and Caicos for the winter, y'all. For the winter time, Turks and Caicos, because nobody wants to have winter. We want to have
Right.
winter and then a summer experience, then come back from that. Those are my picks for many different reasons. Okay, we are at our last question, and y'all, we have totally enjoyed y'all sticking out and hanging out with
Absolutely.
us. We have a special gift for those that want to sign up for it. It is right in the description box. It is a destination guide of any destination you choose. Even though you may not use our planning services or our advisory
Mhm.
services, we want you to be informed as you go on your next
Right.
vacation. And all you have to do is tell us the location, and we're going to get you a PDF right to your email of a trip destination guide that can help you out with that. Between the two of us, we've been a lot of places, but there's
Right.
still a team, an army of advisors behind us, and we can make sure we give you the best information. Okay, so this is a question. I think we've kind of covered it, but I do have something new to say about it. What are the reasons and destinations for the recent surge in travel? We're not going to talk about the destinations because we've already kind of talked
Mhm.
about that. I think with this entire globe that we live on, it's united in so many different ways, and there's so
Mhm.
many different adventures and things to see and do all around the world. But I will say this. I'm going to say because we've been kind of encapsulated in this two
Exactly.
year box, that the time is now. We can call it due to revenge travel. We can say it's for spring break. We can say it's for summer vacation. We can say it's for an event. But what
Mhm.
we most of all have to say is that it's just the season of travel is back with vengeance. So I would agree with the revenge travel statement. Connie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think as we have had to replan our lives, it has also made a shift in our priorities. And now some of those priorities, I mean, we all have to work. We all have, we have obligations we have to take care of, and working helps, us meet the obligations. But I think the other thing is we're making ourselves an obligation to to also, our wellness, our connection with our families and our friends and our loved ones, and realizing how important that is, when we've been shut in by ourselves, or maybe the two of us for 6 to 8 months without actively seeing people. So I think that's the other thing. I think we may have a different appreciation of some things in our life now.
Absolutely. I think that is a wonderful note to end on. I am putting Connie's email right at the bottom. If you want to chat with her via email, she is open to that. We'll
Absolutely.
also leave that noted in the description box. If you have any questions, you can still have a chance to add those. We'll be taking questions up for the next 5 minutes and just kind of answering those via text or response. We would love to help you on your next adventure. If you're looking for an advisor that's trusted, that loves travel just as much as you, and that can give some insight to really help save you
Mhm.
time, resources, frustration, and possibly a little money as well. We are welcome and ready to help you do that. This is all for the show today. We're so excited. Thank y'all all for watching. Connie, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's been lots of fun.
Until our next show, you guys, thank you so much, Connie. Love you. Have a wonderful Sunday. We're tuning out. We're gone, y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.